welcome back to your CAD modeling tutorials. In the previous video, we sketched objects onto a pre-existing part to add an extrusion inwards to create the base of our mug. In this video, we're going to be adding a new work plane to our object, changing the visibility of the planes to be able to see different parts, and then continue by adding our handle. So, a quick foremention, work planes, they're used to help create more advanced shapes. You can use them to offset from your model, and they allow you to create an extrusion from one sketch to another. And what it does is it can create a wide variety of shapes. Secondly, changing the visibility of your planes makes it easier to see exactly what's going on within your model. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to hop back over onto Inventor, back to the model that we had in the previous video. So, to add our plane for our mug, I'm just going to add a little funky shape to the bottom. So we're going to scroll round to the bottom using that square that we used last time and rotate back to the correct orientation. And we're going to go over to planes. So there are many different options for using planes, and we're not going to use pretty much any of them. We're just going to stick with a simple offset from plane. What this does is it creates a plane that's parallel to a plane that already exists. So, to show you this, I'll rotate the model, and you can see there's a big green outline. We click here, and we can input a distance that we have our plane appear away from it. So we will put in, say, 50. You can, in fact, click and drag this to the distance that you want it to be, but it's much more precise just to type in a number. So, once you've selected it, you press enter, and this big orange box appears. This is your work plane. You can select this and you can draw different shapes onto it, and as you can see, it is in fact further away from our model. So we can start a 2D sketch as we did on all our other previous planes, and we're just going to draw a simple rectangle. We're going to put the dimensions to be 150 by 100 millimeters, as the 100 millimeters is the diameter of our circle, and 150 will just give it an extra bit of width out to the sides. We'll dimension for the sides onto the circle, so that way it sits flush and even on either side to create a nice even shape. So, since this is 100 up and down, we're going to make this 50 from the centre, and then we can use the side, dimension it to the centre as well, and we're going to make this be 75 millimeters away. What this does is it will allow it to be 75 millimeters on either side and gives us the even look that we're after. So, now that we're happy with the position of the rectangle, we can hop back up to finish sketch, and then it will rotate back round. We can see where our sketch lies. So, we want to get rid of the look of this work sketch, we can go over to the left hand menus and turn off the visibility. As you can see, it gets rid of the nasty orange box, and we can actually see straight through our work plane to the model behind it. Okay, so now that we are looking at our model, you can notice that we have our nice rectangle here around our circle. So next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to use the Loft tool. The Loft allows you to extend one plane into another, and it creates a new shape. So we can select the circle of our part that we've already created, the outer edges of our rectangle, and the area it encloses. What this does is it creates a nice looking trapezium shape that will extend and create a big chunk of our model. So as you can see here, we've added a large bit to the bottom of our mug. It's going to look a little bit less like a mug now, but we'll call it a mug just the same. With that out of the way, next we can move on to creating our handle. So what we want to do is we can hover over to the left hand side of our menus, and there will be a button there for the origins. Now, the origin is what we originally started with our planes. It gives us our XY, YZ, and XZ planes. We want to turn on one of the planes that will allow us to create a handle in the side of our mug. So we are going to use the XY plane. So we right click on the XY plane, and we can turn on the visibility as we did with our previous sketches. So now that we can see our plane, we can rotate round so we can see just exactly how it cuts through. We get a nice measurement of where we're actually putting this handle. We can begin by starting our 2D sketch on the plane. And now what we're going to do is we're going to sketch two circles to create the base of our handle. So I'm just going to do this by eye. we're just going to put the start of the circle probably about here, and we'll go for, say, we know that it's 90 millimeters, so we'll go with 75. So I'll quickly key in 75, there we go. Next we're going to dimension our circle, so that way it's set to a nice even position away from the top. We don't want it to be 53 away with the centre, since we know it's 90, we want it to be 45. So this centres our handle to the middle of the mug. Next, we'll draw our circle for the inside with the same centre, but we're going to make this one 65. This will give us a 10mm handle, which should be fairly nice to hold on to. Next, we can turn back off the visibility of that plane because we don't need it anymore. And now we're going to try an extrusion. We select it, but oh no, we've forgotten to close our sketch. So a very important part of creating any model, you have to close the lines of your sketch, otherwise it doesn't exactly know what it wants you to extrude, so it'll just go with the most close thing it can. So, since we don't want a handle extending into our mug, we're going to use our line tool and we're just going to close off the top half of our circle. So, we're going to start by pressing on one end of the circles and we'll go to the inside one. It doesn't matter too much about where it snaps to, but just to make it nicer, I'll go as straight down as I possibly can. Next, we're going to go down to the bottom of our handle. We'll do exactly the same thing. We're going to click on the outer circle and drag it up to the inner circle. Of course, we could have done it the other way around, but the main thing is we enclose the circle. So now that we've enclosed it, we can finish our sketch and we can go back to our extrusion. And as you can see now, the enclosed area is the part it wants to extrude. So, to create our handle, we want it to go in both directions with a symmetric extrusion, and this will allow us to set the radius to half of what we want it to be. So creating a 10mm out wide means that it goes 10mm in both directions, so we get a 20mm wide handle. So we click OK, and that's our handle created. As simple as that. So now we have a rather awkward looking handle with our mug, but you could still drink out of this nonetheless. So, I believe that's as far as I want to go. We're going to save our model. And in the next video, we're going to be moving on to talk about the 3D printing part of your model. 3D printing is a very awkward thing to do, so I would recommend you checking out the third link on this page for www.ultimaker.com. Download the software there for your respective devices and start to play about with the software. In the next video, we will cover how to use the software and set up for 3D printing. And then eventually we will put our model in and show exactly how to print. So, look forward to seeing you in the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.